Hey strong people, Beck here from StartingStrongman.com. And if you're looking to learn more about strongman or looking for a new program that's going to make you more athletic, not just strong, so you can be an all-around good strength athlete and good at strongman, because it's not just one rep max attempts like what we've been talking about in the past weeks, because that's all that's going on, go to store.startingstrongman.com, pick up our latest book we've released. This one is by 105 kilogram, two-time world's strongest man, under 105 kilogram. I think I just said that. Anthony Furman. It's called Strengthlete 1.0, like strength and athlete. You get it? The complete strongman off-season program, building a total athlete through athleticism, power, and competence, event competence. So go to store.startingstrongman.com and pick that up. It's on sale until Tuesday for $25.99. Then it gets bumped up about $10. Now, on with the show. Today we are talking about my record attempt on my favorite lift in strongman, the log press. The log press has been held by Zydrunas Savickas for 15 years. I think that arguably makes it the most impressive and hardest to break record in strongman. Has any other record been held by one athlete for that amount of time? 15 years is like a third of the sport, modern day strongman. What's it have been around for like 40 or so? That's insane. Zydrunas was so far and above everyone on log press that he kept breaking his own world record. I put out a compilation videos, which now needs to be updated on StartingStrongman.com a few years back. There was the 10 heaviest log presses of all time, and every single one was done by Zydrunas Savickas. I don't think anyone has owned a lift more. And there's been a couple people along the years that have tried to challenge it. Eddie Hall, Mr. Edward Hall himself, tried to challenge it. Couldn't do it. Dropped to 484 pounds on his head one time. Even despite having incredible shoulder power, seated, etc., just couldn't do the log. Log is a little different. Iron Bibby's given it a couple shots. Looks great at home. You know, lifting his log, which is supposedly filled with sand because weights are hard to come by where he lives. Looks like he has the strongest shoulders in the world at home. Flies over to Britain a couple times, just can't do it. Stage fright, whatever it is. Looks like he's probably statically stronger than Zydrunas, but when it comes to doing it in competition, he's failed it. The only other person to have ever attempted a world record on this log since Zydrunas got it is Robert Oberst, and he cleaned it and was close. Dimitar Savatinov also attempted it, so I guess that's two, but he couldn't clean it. This was at America's Strongest Man in 2014, I believe. But honestly, there's never been anyone that's that close until today. Luke Stoltman, the Highland Oak, went for a log lift world record put on by World's Ultimate Strongman. This whole thing, no one can compete in World's Ultimate Strongman, has put up a way for the sport to keep going, for some athletes to keep getting something to aim for, and for us fans to watch and have something to talk about. And I think it's awesome. It happened on May 16th, and it was live on coresports.world. Couple things. It wasn't on ESPN this time. It wasn't on Rogue's YouTube and stuff this time. And I wonder how that affected the viewers. I think this is a more impressive feat of strength than a 500 or 501 or whatever kilogram deadlift. It's just log press is so, no one's even been close, so I think there's less hype. Zydrunas is more mild-mannered. It doesn't look like he was going to call out Luke for a boxing match or vice versa after this, but he was staring at the screen because like he was. He actually ended up being the official judge via Skype, which was kind of weird. More on that later. So, a little background. Luke Stoltman has one of the most impressive, I just can't even wrap my head around how much he has improved on this lift. I remember it was World's Strongest Man a couple years ago. What was it, 2018? Yeah, so like 2 years ago. One of the groups included some of the best log pressers in the world, including Zydrunas Savickas, Robert Oberst, then the American log record holder, Graham Hicks. I think he was tied with Eddie Hall, or just below him, maybe even had it with the British log record. And Brian Benzel, who's a 400-pound plus log holder. And Luke was in that group, and he wasn't, when everyone was naming how crazy stacked that group was as far as log pressers, he wasn't even really named in it. He did well. I think Rob Kearney might have been in that group as well. Just crazy. I can't really remember. I think he ended up tying. He did well, but like that was just like 2 years ago. And it seems like ever since he's been able to quit his job and do strongman full time and get a lot bigger, oh man, Luke has put on some mass. Still looks good, still spicy. The hair might be worse than mine, but he's put on a lot of weight, and that really helps the log. He's always had good technique, and being able to train full time and really devote himself, it's mind-boggling. The kind of improvements he's made. Like, if you would have said 2 years ago, Luke Stoltman is going to get as close as you possibly could to breaking Zydrunas, who is just leaps and bounds better than anyone ever in the world at this lift, just like on a whole other plane. He's going to get closer to beating that record 2 years ago. I wouldn't have took that. I would have took that bet all day long. No one would have believed you except maybe Luke and Tom. And maybe their mom. Like, just a few people. Like, it didn't make any sense, but that's what's so great about strongman, and why it's great that there's more sponsors in the sport allowing athletes like Luke to devote themselves to their craft, and you see the kind of transformation they've made. I mean, he got second at World's Ultimate Strongman Championship. He made the finals the next year and just looks so much better, and he's one of the top strongmen in the world, hands down. And his technique is superb. So how it went, they started the broadcast, they did a really good little piece introing. I mean, it really humanized Luke. He talked about, growing up in a small town in Scotland, how he prepared, how much this means to him, how grateful he is. And I think that's more of what the sport needs. Not so much kayfabe, more backstories, making these giants, these larger-than-life athletes, these real-life superhero-esque people, and make them seem normal and make you want to cheer for him. If you watched that intro and didn't want Luke Stoltman to break the record today, something's wrong with you. You had to cheer for him after that. He did the first attempt at 192 kilograms, which is 420 or so pounds. His clean is the best in the world. I'm just going to say it. I've always said Graham Hicks has the best clean technique, but it may have been surpassed after watching today. I don't know. Has to be. They're definitely 1 and 2 in my opinion. Maybe not as brute strong as some of the other athletes, like maybe a Bibby was, just statically stronger, or Eddie Hall in his prime, where he could probably seated dumbbell press anyone in the world. But their clean technique is why they're so good at this. I can't stress this enough when I'm coaching strongman or helping people at seminars, etc. People always wonder why their press is stalling, and most of the time it's because their clean is kind of inefficient. So if they got it more efficient, they waste less energy. They don't waste as much energy, and they get it in the proper position. And Luke Stoltman's rack position, he has a great rack, just great rack. It's great. So if anything, go back, watch these videos. I'm sure they're going to be posted on the Stoltman brothers YouTube, etc. And just study their technique if you want to get better at log pressing. Just study Luke's technique. It's beautiful. Zydrunas was judging via Skype, kind of weird. He was he seemed, I don't know if he was playing a little bit of mind games with Luke leading up to this. He had a little, Luke had his belt loop sticking out just a tad as he was warming up, and Z was like, nope. No built-up belt. Sometimes athletes they put their belt loop out so they can rest a log on it and go like that. I think Luke's belly's plenty big now. I think he uses his belly. Z always uses belly. If you're a smaller person, that can help, but you want it a little higher than there. So I don't think it's a big advantage. That's generally allowed, but then even Z made him turn his belt a little to the side. He's like, you can't have the buckle right in front, which I've heard some contests have that as a rule. I don't think it's a universal rule, but Z was adamant to do it. He made Luke demonstrate what his lockout position is after the first lift, the 192, which he did effortlessly, and it made him hold it a while, which I'm not mad at Z. It's just interesting having the former, current record holder. It's hard to say they're going to be completely impartial. Z is, the greatest of all time, but I think when you have a judge, you need someone who's impartial in this. He holds the record. He might be congratulating him on the outside, but if you look in his eyes, it didn't seem like he wanted him to get that lift. Who really does? I'm sure he would have congratulated him if Luke did it. But he had some long lockouts, and if you ever hold a lockout at the top, it's going to wear you out as you go, especially when you're going for a world record attempt. Could that have something to do with it in the end, why he ended up missing the 230? It didn't help, but I think that it's good to have a good standard. I just think it should be someone, in person. Obviously, there's restrictions and limitations on what's going to happen with all of Scotland being in lockdown, etc. And you want someone with a good name clout, but the current record, it's just, that's a tough one. I don't think that's a good precedent to set. I mean, if I was going to go break a record, I don't want the person sitting here with the down call being the person who holds it. I'm going to think that they're not going to be completely impartial, even if they're one of the most respected strongmen in the world. Then he went up to 212. Would have kind of hoped that he went up to about 217, even though maybe it's a little close. But 212 to 230 is a big jump, and 217 would have at least gave him the British record. But maybe you don't want to. You want to be like, I'm going to get it anyways at the 230. That one looked just about as good. It went up, and it's like right. I mean, his clean was phenomenal, so good, and he got good rack position. Tall chest, elbows out, head up. Solid position, good dip, staying back on his heels, knees going out, just everything you're supposed to do. Picture perfect log technique. He dips, gets about here, and it kind of shakes a little bit. You notice he had the one cuff, like a little, compression band over one arm, which does help a lot over the sleeve. Kind of surprised they allowed that at all, but I think they're only allowing one because there wasn't one on his other arm. I think it was his left. Or maybe he's just not quite as strong on his left, but it just kind of went little shimmy, like it's going up, just like that, then locked out. You could really see it in the slow-mo. It gave me pause. He did a 228 kilos just like a week or two ago. That's so close to the current record. I mean, man, like if you're trying to peak and time it right, a lot of people say, why don't you do the lift in training? It builds up confidence. That's not how it goes. They're so draining to do that. And even mentally, like if he just threw 228 and it just went up like that, it would be good. But it was a little grindy at the top. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's close. But he's close. This is going to be so close to the record. And it was. Went for 230. I'm not trying to take anything away from Luke. I think he's a great athlete. Seems like a good person. Never met him. But, looking forward to someday. But if you look at Thor, there was not a doubt in his mind he was doing 501 2 weeks ago. Maybe it helps that there's half of Iceland in the gym screaming at him to build up his confidence. I don't know. But there's just, when Luke, he looked confident. And when he went up to 230, and you have Z throwing eye daggers at you on the screen with his and like with his hand, I'm not even going to do the position that he is in for the down call. It looked like his setup, putting on the equipment, approaching the log, deviated slightly. He looked like he had a little bit of doubt in his eyes. And I can't say how many attempts I've seen where you can tell when people are over-psyching themselves up to try to get overconfident to do it, where there's that little doubt creeping in, where it's like, whew, their nerves are getting to them. And then you see that when someone's just completely in the zone, and you look at them and you go, I have no doubt in my mind this person's about to get that lift. And I didn't see that with Luke. He just looked a little too unsure. He picked it up clean, looked great, sat within the lap maybe a little longer. Clean was amazing again. Held it in the rack longer, which that's so taxing, holding the log, crushing your chest. You can't breathe. He did this thing that he's been doing on most of his max attempts in training that I've seen, where he dips, then dips again. And I think for him to get that in the future, that's the one mistake he's making. That false dip, it A, burns energy, it's going to tax you, going to tire you out. B, it shows a slight lack of confidence. Because you kind of want to like, I want to feel the weight, then press it. And when he did that, and it could also make you go forward a little bit, get you a little bit out of position, but then he recovered and he blasted it up. His leg drive is so good off the chest because he's in perfect position to press. I can't stress this enough. Watch his lifts. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful how he does it. He's applying great leg drive into the bar, but then right when his triceps need to kick in. Also, the thing you noticed when he cleaned it, his feet never move. Sometimes, even, like when I'm doing it and I don't quite get a cleaner, I'm not quite in the kind of shape I need to be in with my core, with my everything to log press. You take a step back with your feet, etc. When it gets heavy, his feet never moved. He doesn't move them, just still great hip drive, just great, perfect technique. I think I've said that enough, right? You get it. But on this one, when he was going up, he got it right about the top, and that I think it was the left arm, just was like here, just like, and he's like this, just elbows a little bent, and his feet started to move. And the biggest thing why I don't take, and then he missed it. Z was like, no. Maybe looked a little relieved. Hard to say. Wouldn't you be? And you're gutted. I mean, and then Luke was like, oh, come on. Could it have been any closer? Insert screenshot here if I remember. Whew, so close. I mean, it broke my heart a little bit. I would have loved to see it happen today. Would have loved to see it for Luke. Would have loved to see it for Strongman. I think these records being pushed during all this is huge for the sport. Gets the sport in headlines. Not as much as the mountain breaking something. And then, I want you and y'all. That's not going to get in as much headlines, but still, there's so little sports to talk about right now. It gets some headlines. A lot more than missing. Whew, but it was so close. I'm like, I'm heartbroken for Luke. Really wanted to see that lift happen today. Have no doubt he's going to get it at some point if someone else doesn't get it before him. But I think he's the man to do it. I think he has the best shot. He has the best technique. He has the best clean. What happened was he just has maybe it's the little bit of the left tricep. Fix that false dip he's doing at the start. Just gain a little bit more confidence with uncharted weight. It's hard to be confident. I think it's a lot easier to be confident with a deadlift at the bottom than when a log is crushing your soul sitting on your chest, weighing over 500 pounds. Holy crap. Hard to be confident in that position. But what every person always fails at on max log, if you're a trained strongman athlete, it's not your triceps, it's because you can't balance the thing overhead and you start to falter and you get out of position and then you're not in a good position to press from. I can't stress that enough. Love seeing it. Next week we have Tom Stoltman, his brother, going to break his own Atlas Stone world record. I think that one's money in the bag, but it's going to be fun to see. I hope at the end they bring out some crazy challenge stone like a 300 kilos and really shock the world. That'd be cool. Follow World's Ultimate Strongman and coresports.world for all of these upcoming events. That's the only real thing going on in strongman and sports in general other than a UFC fight. I'm Kalle Beck. Go to startingstrongman.com for all of your strongman training information. And follow the Stoltman brothers on their YouTube. Looking forward to seeing their videos. If they shot some today, I hope they did. And thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of the event in the comments below.